little history about the company. It was founded in 2012 by a bunch of internationally recognized drug discovery scientists. It's a collaboration between the University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia, and Emory University. The IP was licensed from both universities, and as I mentioned, we have a very good, highly experienced team. Our portfolio is pretty extensive. The top compound, Q122, is a clinical asset that's now finished 3 different clinical trials, and we're developing it to treat hot flashes in breast cancer patients. The other technologies are preclinical, and I think probably the most exciting one is the one that's listed as Q201, and this is a set of compounds that have picomolar activity for treating chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy. So Q122 is a small molecule. It's orally available. It's made in a single chemical step. And when we first prepared the cGMP material, we did a campaign that lasted 3 weeks and yielded 20 kilograms. So it's very easy to make. And the compound is one of the safest compounds that I've ever worked with. It has a no adverse effect level of over 600 milligrams per kilogram per day. This is a really compelling lead program. Our initial target is women with breast cancer who have hormone-dependent tumors and who are on estrogen receptor inhibitors, for example, tamoxifen. These treatments often result in debilitating hot flashes. We estimate the market for this area is over $900 million. And there aren't many good therapies available. Hormone replacement therapy is now contraindicated for most women. We think our compound has the potential to expand to all postmenopausal women, which would be a substantial market. There's a huge unmet medical need. The only non-hormonal drug that's available is Bristol, and Bristol is an antidepressant, SSRI. And if you see the commercials on television, they tell you Bristol isn't for everyone. Well, it's got a black box warning for suicidal thoughts and behaviors. And more importantly, perhaps, it can't be used in combination with tamoxifen because of drug-drug interactions. So really, there's a whole set of unmet medical needs, a huge patient population where there's nothing. We think we have a very clear development path going forward. This last clinical trial was done as a sequential dose escalation study, and we wanted to evaluate the safety, tolerability, pharmacokinetics, and the effect of Q122 on hot flashes in female subjects with breast cancer who were receiving aromatase inhibitors or tamoxifen. It was an open-label study. There were 2 doses, 100 mg and 200 mg. The entrance criteria required women with hot flashes of at least 7 to 8 per day or 50 to 60 per week. They recorded their hot flashes for a 2-week period prior to drug administration, then throughout their treatment, and then for a 2-week follow-up period. The results of the trial were extremely positive. We met all our primary and secondary endpoints. Q122 showed activity against hot flashes in both dosing groups. 7 of 8 subjects in each of the 2 dosing groups had a reduction of 2 or more hot flashes per day, and probably more importantly, multiple complete responders, which was very unusual, not really observed with Bristol. Also importantly, there were no drug-related adverse events associated with this in either arm of the trial. Here what we've done is shown the two arms of the trial, the 100 milligram dose and the 200 milligram dose. And you can see that the 200 milligram dose has a drop in hot flashes a little faster, but ultimately they're both pretty comparable. And what we've overlaid here are the Bristol results that were used in their NDA application. And you can see by comparison that even though there are different patient populations, the Q122 results were far superior. If we look at this green climatic scale, which measures a range of different activities, you can see that in all of the cases studied, there's a dramatic reduction relative to baseline. So this is a very comprehensive effect. And we have an aggressive development plan. I'm sorry that it's a little difficult to see. I see some of our sharks squinting a little bit. But we have to do, we have to extend our tox and do 3-month tox. And then we'd like to do a definitive phase 2 clinical trial so we can determine the final dose that we will use going forward in pivotal trials. We expect that this will take $8 to $10 million in support to do it. Thank you very much.
This is very interesting. My wife was going through menopause about 3 years ago, and I was having suicidal thoughts and conversations associated with hot flashes too. This is interesting. I came out of an environment where I was working for U.S. Oncology in my last corporate responsibility, and so we were responsible for bringing in all the oncology agents. And I don't recall this really having been a hot issue with our medical staff or oncologists. But is this something that is sort of elevating in importance in terms of women are asking for this, or is this sort of a new product, a new therapies, new solution, or is it the market that you're really creating the market, or is this something that there's a pretty good addressable market already in place from the competition that's already in?
So we just for comparable stories, I've been involved in drug development for a long time. I have 10 FDA approvals associated from my lab. And when I told my wife about this, she said, well, finally you're doing something important. So the problem with these hormone-sensitive tumors is that there's nothing to treat these hot flashes. And the hot flashes get so severe that the women are non-compliant. And when they're non-compliant, the risk for additional problems occurs. So there's a definite correlation with controlling hot flashes and good compliance to tamoxifen therapy. So we think we're going to be market makers here. We're going to create a new market by controlling these hot flashes.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to ask is that, the method of action that you're using to control the hot flashes, does that in any way compete with the clinical effect that's occurring from the oncology agent that's being taken?
No, so there's no interaction with tamoxifen. These are CYP interactions, and there's absolutely no interaction between Q122 and tamoxifen or aromatase inhibitors.
And do you eventually end up going after menopausal hot flashes too?
Yes. We think that we have anecdotal evidence that it works on postmenopausal hot flashes. And about 70% of women suffer from postmenopausal hot flashes. And some they're mild, and some they're very severe. And in the severe cases, it's socially debilitating. And we think that a safe drug that women could take for those periods of time when they're suffering from them would be very, very attractive.
I was one of the ones squinting at your chart there, but just as far as the phase 2 goes, how large do you think phase 2 needs to be, and how long do you think that'll take? It sounds like the follow-up is pretty quick.
So it's placebo-based double-blind study, 160 patients, 4 arms, distributed 3 to 1. The one is the placebo, and the other 3 are different doses. It's a 12-week trial.
And that would lead to the pivotal trial, and that's what you were quoting on the
That will define the dose.
Okay.
That's not the pivotal trial.
Okay, right, that leads to the pivotal trial.
Yeah.
So the 8 to 10 million.
So right now with the 100 versus 200 mg, it looks like the 200 may be slightly better, but it's hard to really tell. So that's why you do a properly powered trial to determine what the optimum dose is.
Are there any other compounds or any stage of trials for these same indications and any results from them?
None that we're aware of. As you know, women's health has been neglected, and we think for that reason, this is also a very important therapy to bring forward.
So one last question for me is, with breast cancer, there's certain cancers that respond based on, protein inhibitors, this kind of thing. So does this have any sort of limitation from, a woman's genomic,
So everything has a limitation. I've been doing this for a long enough time to know there is no perfect drug, but I do really like the safety profile. I've been involved in antivirals where we have to give drug to patients every day of their life, and having a good safety profile is important. And we've never seen a single adverse event. There was an interesting story. The way we got into this, there was a woman who was taking this who had very severe fallopian tube cancer. This is quite a few years ago. And she took the drug, and she had very severe hot flashes, and they immediately resolved. And she was on it for 3 or 4 days, and the physician thought there might be some drug-related adverse event, so she took her off. The hot flashes came back. A couple of days later, the physician decided it wasn't drug-related, so she put her back on, and her hot flashes again resolved. She was on for 56 days, and the entire time, she didn't have any hot flashes. It's an amazing story, and then her cancer unfortunately progressed, so they had to take her off. But this has, I think, tremendous potential.